my dear friend Muhyiddin Qassar. My name is Radwan Ziadeh. I'm director of Damascus Syrian for Human Rights Studies. This organization established in Syria in 2005. We did a lot of work in Syria regarding reports about human rights abuses and monitoring the situation in Syria and working with different Syrian and international human rights organizations. You can go to our website. It's updated every an hour. dchrs.org, Damascus Center for Human Rights Studies. And our organization is an organization member in FIDH. FIDH is the largest umbrella for the International Human Rights Organization. It's more than 164 human rights organizations around the world are a member in FIDH. And also when I came to Washington, it's important to have a think tank working on Syria, and this is why I established the Syrian Center for Political and Strategic Studies. This is a think tank based in Washington, D.C. We work on the academic, we have our first academic conference in January at the University of Arkansas. We're trying to bring experts and scholars who are working on Syria. It's trying to push for more academic studies in Syria, and also we started a program to translate everything, the academic and the valued books on Syria to be translated into Arabic. And this is one of the books. This is the Lisa Whidden books. This is one of the most important books on Syria. Lisa Whidden, she is the chair of the Middle East Department here at the University of Chicago, and she's now in Syria writing second book on Syria during Bashar Assad. I recommend you to read her book in Arabic, in English even. That is quite difficult because it's more, and this is the translation. I have some copies here.
What's the name in English?
It's here. What's the Syrian uprising mean for us? Actually, when the revolution started in Egypt, nobody expected that it achieve its goals. I was in Morocco actually on January 10th, and I met with the Tunisian opposition members at that time. Now they became as member in the government, interim government, and nobody expected that this successful ending. But you know that nobody can stop actually the will of the people, and this is what's happened exactly in Tunisia and in Egypt following. After that, actually, the Syrians starting inside Syria and outside Syria working hard to have something done in Syria. We know that the situation is much more difficult in Syria, but if it's happened in Libya, why not in Syria? The spark, as you know, it was when the arrest in March 15 with small demonstrations in an Al-Hamidiyya mosque. It wasn't actually only 200, among them 3 of my cousins. They arrest them, but it wasn't. It has an image impact. So the people they see that we will start even that, but the spark for the Syrian uprising was in Daraa. When the government arrests the school children, torture them, and the families they ask to release them, they refuse the political security, and then they march in March 18 to the building of the political security and start the killing. They shoot 6 of them, and this is one exactly like Tunisia and Egypt. When you actually kill the people, you don't stop them. You actually galvanize the protest. Well, it's happened exactly. After a few hours, more than 20,000, they gather in the main square in Daraa, chanting for the resignation of the governor, a resignation of the head of the political security, who was Atif Najib, the cousin of Bashar Assad. And that's, of course, it needs only the spark to spread to other cities, spread to Douma, to Latakia, Homs, Damascus, all the cities surround Damascus. In April 22nd, more than 84 cities and towns, they have demonstrations. It's spread over the more than 14 provinces in Syria with no exception at all. And it was significant actually on last Friday that even that you have actually military occupation in all the in Dar'a and in Douma. In Dar'a itself, you have more than 32 tanks in a small city like the old city in Dar'a, and you cannot cross from street to other street without showing ID. And yesterday they restrict, you cannot go to the outside your home only from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Of course there is no schools, there is no education, there is nothing, only from 1 to 3 o'clock, and you have to bring food, water only in these 2 hours. But even that spilled the aspiration of the people to go. They are chanting Allahu Akbar from inside their homes, and that gives them signs that there is still resistance. Even that silent resistance, but the people still chanting against the tyranny and the dictatorship. And this is why give us it's more responsibility here in outside Syria to how can to support them. Which in just four things actually about the Syrian uprising. What's the mentality of the Syrian regime? How can to deal with the revolution and how we should actually deal with this? It's clear that the strategy of the Syrian regime, 2 things. Trying actually to legitimize the uprising by saying that it's not peaceful protest, they have some guns, and this is always they repeating the same. It has been 3 months repeating the same argument that this is armed gangs. And we have a lot of evidence how making some photos, documents about some people and force them to get some pictures that they have guns or something like that. But I can assure you that they never use the guns, even maybe on only Tel Kalach in some areas which on the borders between Syria and Lebanon, but other parts there is no question about that. It was a peaceful protest in all cities Arab. The second thing actually controlling the media. It was from the first day they kicked out all of the Reuters, AP, all the journalists and reporters kicked out of the country, and nobody allowed actually to enter in, to get in to the country to report. It's today morning actually. It's Khalid Ali. This is the nickname of the reporter of the Guardian. He's living in Damascus and calling me from Washington or Chicago to update him what's going on. Nobody can, because it's a terrible situation. You know, you heard the story about 2 Americans. They 2 students American, one of them the Egyptian origin. One of them actually, it's a student in my university. They study Arabic there, then they arrest them, accuse them that they get money from CIA. And he told me that during the 15 detention days there, he doesn't know what's the most important for the Syrian regime, to say that he is CIA agent or a journalist. Then he found that maybe journalist much better. Then it was the opposite. The opposite. It's how the Syrian actually deal with the media, how it is. But the third point, that the Syrian regime trying to involve the army. We know the army, having professional army, it's important. And this is the only way actually the Egyptian and the Tunisian, when they achieved, it was actually such kind of half military coup. When the army refused to shoot the people and enforce the president Ben Ali or Mubarak to step down. Syrian army is a professional army by large. It's the 16th army in the world by large. And the size, but at the same time is not professional like Egypt, but it's not like Libya. And this is why from the first day trying to involve the army, to send the army to Dar'a, to Banias, to confuse the people. Then the people right now, they cannot actually finding a foundation or institution can rely on.